You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. This is BRFM 95.6, our very own community radio station, right here on the Isle of Sheppey. You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with me, Daniel, this evening. And now it's time to the interview I did when I was out and about. And I was at the Minster Gatehouse Museum, which is next door to Minster Abbey here on the Isle of Sheppey. And I caught up with Julie Bradshaw and Anna Piles. And I caught up with them to talk all about their latest residency at the Minster Gatehouse Museum. They're going to be doing a mural in the spiral staircase there. I know they're looking to talk to visitors while they're going to be in residency, so I caught up with them to talk all about it. This is what happened when I spoke to them. Firstly, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Oh, thank you for inviting us, Daniel. We're really pleased, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, it's certainly good to catch up with you, because the last time I spoke to both of you, we were on board LV21, and of course you were doing that project, but you were also talking a little bit about a future project at the Tower of London. So I was wondering if you could, firstly, before we move on to this residency that you're doing here, if you could just tell us how you got on there.
It was an amazing experience, I have to say. We had such fun. It was much more than what we'd even dreamed of, really, wasn't it, Anna? We had over 5,000 visitors per day, and lots of people from all around the world took part and shared their memories with us, shared moments with us. It got quite emotional because we were dealing with, obviously, wartime memories, and it was the Remembrance Weekend. And so it was very touching and very moving, and even little children were coming up and they couldn't speak English, but we communicated really well and they understood what we wanted them to do, and it was very successful.
It was very successful.
Yeah,
everything went perfectly. We was really pleased with how it came out, wasn't we? And there were some really lovely moments with different people, and for me, I think when we saw some people actually cry, it really made it worthwhile, didn't it? All the hard work that went behind it.
Yeah, I mean, with one of the brigadiers, who was a lovely gentleman, and obviously from military background, so very official, and he actually, when we'd finished installing the installation, he came in and he said, "Well, I must say, girls, this is wonderful." He said, "I thought it was going to be arty fairy sort of thing," he said, "but it's amazing. I do like it." So we were really touched, actually. And
the laying of the reef, when we did the laying of the reef, that was really lovely too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we did it in conjunction.
With the cenotaph, with the laying of the wreaths at the cenotaph. It was a very touching moment. In fact, I cried throughout the whole thing, finding it very difficult to not cry, and I believe Anna was as well. And it turned out that one of the gentlemen that came into the room while we were doing our ceremony was actually somebody who was a Royal Fusilier, and he was a drummer. And I could tell by his stance, the way he stood with saluting and very respectful of the whole ceremony. And he went rushing off to bring his whole family into our installation and spent quite a bit of time looking at it and talking with us, didn't he?
I was overwhelmed by how many people took part in writing their memories on the tags that we had there, and then we was putting them into the installation, and then people that were coming through were being able to read their memories or their thoughts of a member that had been in the war, or perhaps how they feel about the war itself, like past, present, and the whole experience was really, and we've actually been asked to consider doing something at the Barbican. There's a big event taking part. I can't say at the moment, it's top secret, but hopefully we're going to be involved in that part as well. So
watch this space, so to speak.
But it certainly sounds like it went very well then.
Yes, yeah, it did. The museum was very pleased. We got a brilliant write-up from them, and we
met some amazing people.
Yeah,
some really amazing people.
Good.
And getting to stay at the Tower of London was an absolutely amazing experience.
Yeah.
Watching the watching how it runs there as well. It's not just about what we were doing, like researching and things like that. It was lovely to see how the place works as well. So it was
the sleeping in the tower was certainly an amazing experience, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Spooky, but amazing. Lovely.
So you see it from an insider rather than a visitor in a way, which must have been good.
Yes. It was really, really a good insight.
The big doors with the big keys and
how different it becomes at night as well, but just as beautiful at night in a different sort of way. But because it's so quiet and all you can hear is the feet of the certain few that are there. It makes it eerie, but still in such a beautiful way because of the way it's all lit up, and it's lovely, wasn't it?
Of course, you get the ravens giving the odd caw noise as it sort of sounds, and it echoes when all the visitors have left. There's an echoey eeriness and a settlement. It settles down.
And paintings all of a sudden become even more like grand and
staring.
They become a bit more scary, I think. Although they're amazing. It just at night time when it's all dark.
We felt very privileged to be allowed to be invited and create this piece of artwork. And then ultimately it was to remember the people that had given their lives, not just our soldiers, all around the world. We wanted to really sort of remember, because everybody loses a father, a son, a daughter.
Many conversations with different people, didn't we?
Yeah.
With when they talk about their grandfathers or great-great-grandfathers. It was really, really lovely to have that chunk out of their life, shared with us, and I think that's a big thing for people to do, isn't it? To sort of share their memories, because sometimes it's not easy to do that. So, it was lovely.
So if we move on to this exhibition here at the Gatehouse, hopefully you can explain to our listeners a bit about it. And it's actually a residency as well.
Yes, it is a residency, and it's been funded by the Creative People and Places.
That's right.
And it's to create a mural which will go in the 12th century spiral staircase. But it's going to be much more than a mural. We're going to have boxes with artefacts and some wall hangings, which Anna and I will create. But we're involving, or want to involve, local people, having their memories of various things that might be important to them, that are not necessarily big historical things, but that have a place in Minster, on this beautiful, beautiful island. And so we're doing various events. We're running an art competition, which we can talk about a bit later if you like. And we're here all over Easter. And we're doing some drawings on almost like a timeline, isn't it? But everyone's being invited that comes in to share their memories and help do some drawing if they'd like to. If not, they can ask us to draw a specific thing for them. So that's what's taking place over the Easter weekend.
And are you going to be continuing to be here over other weekends and times?
Yes. The times and dates will be sort of announced, won't they? But I think I'm going to be here most weekends. And bank holidays, I think we're open all the bank holidays that are coming up. And there will be an exhibition when we've completed the residency and the timeline mural, which we've got to organise yet, haven't we, Mary?
Opening times are on our website.
Right, okay.
www.Minster Gatehouse Museum /info.
So it sounds like one of these sort of residencies and exhibitions that grow. So I assume you don't fully know what the outcome's going to be yet, because it's all about you speaking to the people and being here and experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. You've hit the nail right on the head there. We sort of had an initial plan with the starting point, but it will grow, and it's like a journey. It's got its own little journey that's going on within this wonderful building. Can't tell you how beautiful this little museum is. It's absolutely stunning, and we're really privileged to be here taking part in this residency, which is, hopefully, it's in a historical time as well, isn't it? Because we've got World War One centenary year this year. So there's bound to be a part of this timeline that's going to incorporate something along that lines as well.
I was going to say, it must be difficult capturing everything because, just looking around, there's so much. And how do you go about that?
Well, that's where the volunteers that run this place, and we've got together, Mary, who's beside me now. We've discussed we've sort of homed in on a few dates that we think would definitely like to go onto the timeline. And then it's a case of, as we do the research and find interesting things, then that will possibly be added into the competition. The child's work that gets chosen, their design Anna and I will paint the design within the timeline in a 12th century spiral staircase. So it's something quite amazing, really. It's not the usual type of art competition, and there'll be prizes as well. And but to think that a young person will have their work here for future generations to see,
they're becoming part of history.
Part of history, yes, Anna. Yeah, that's right. So that's what we definitely was paramount, that local people were involved in this as well, and children, and they are the future guardians, really, aren't they? If we capture their sort of imagination, who knows? They possibly, hopefully, when we've all gone, we've got to have other people that want to look after this place, because it's purely funded by donations, and that, I believe, isn't it, Mary?
We have no income at all, no income from anyone except what we've donated and the money that's raised by visitors. So the more visitors we have, the more we're able to keep the place dry and heated. Being 1,000 years old, the building gets very, very damp. As Julie knows, we're always emptying the dehumidifiers, and we have to protect all the artefacts in here, which have been donated by people on the island. Everything here has been given over the years, since 1982, when the museum was first started. So we have fundraising events, but we hope that more people will come this year, because they're going to come and see Julie and Anna doing the timeline. And that's a very exciting thing for us, because we haven't had anything recent in the museum like this at all. We've got lots of artwork. Harold Batz's primitive art pieces are here, which are quite well known. Lots of artwork that's been donated of local places, but many, many more artefacts. Fossils, we have a fossil expert, and items that go back to mid-Victorian times. And everyone who comes in, including your father, is absolutely amazed at how much there is in here when it's such a small building from the outside.
Well, I was certainly amazed, because you tend to see the Abbey Tower, don't you, from all over the island, but you don't think of the gatehouse so much, actually.
Even local people miss it. They say, "Oh, I've walked past here every day of my life, but I've never realised you could come in and what's inside." Yesterday, when we were preparing for opening up at Easter, we had visitors, because they just walked past and noticed what it was, and we invited them in, and a couple from Germany stopped. They were going home today. So we get people from all over the world. Some people particularly looking for items that they have heard about, read about, or are interested in. People who've heard that the view from the roof is outstanding, which it is. And today I'm pleased to say it's clear, because the last few weeks we haven't been able to see very far because of the mist. And just generally feeling the ambience of the place because it's so old, and there's supposed to be a ghost. Which I haven't seen, but other people have. But perhaps she might appear, and we could put her in the timeline. I understand it may be a nun. This building was built in the 12th century, and it was possibly housed some of the nuns that Queen Sexburger, she set up a Benedictine monastery, it was called in those days, in 674. And it's been used for many things. Famous people have lived here. Sir Walter Raleigh's step-brother who discovered Newfoundland. His family lived here. And there is still one member on the island who actually lived here with his parents as a baby when it was they were the last tenants in the 1930s. Since then, it's been a watchtower in the World War II, and the place where you came for your orange juice and your cod liver oil in World War II. I think the Boy Scouts have held their meetings here, youth club, and it's been many things to many people. In living memory, the shops that were attached to the building between Minster Gatehouse and the Working Men's Club, people can remember those. I was told there was a hairdresser's and a bicycle shop, because of course people used bicycles mainly as a form of transport in those days. And the person who sold a lot of land on the island, he had a kind of estate agent in one of the shops, but they've been demolished, but we do have pictures of them. In fact, we have pictures of lots of places on the island.
Going right back, aren't they? Some
Absolutely.
Of we've only touched the tip of the iceberg so far, Anna and I, and been amazed at what is here. Absolutely amazed.
Some very, very interesting books, you know, and with which have got photographs in them as well. And it's been really lovely to be able to read up on so much and get the knowledge behind you, you know, to help with the project. It's been lovely.
Can I just say one more advert while I remember it? Because the commemoration of World War I is starting this year, we have got the local Sheerness papers for 1914, 1915, 1916, 1917 and 1918, so that people who were recorded in those newspapers on the island during World War I may like to come and look at them.
Wow, brilliant.
Really amazing. I was going to ask, you know, you sort of saying about you've been looking through some of the photos and the history here. Is there anything so far you found that you didn't expect or that's really interested you?
Well, one photograph that Mary found, which was amazing, which was my great-grandfather, I believe that's right, who owned the Lord Nelson pub, which was quite close to the then old bridge, wasn't it?
It was on the mainland at the start of the Kingsferry Bridge.
That's it. And it got unfortunately flooded. In the
1953 floods.
There was a link there, wasn't there, to my own family, which was like, oh my goodness.
As a volunteer here, we were thrilled to appoint Julie because she has such an empathy for the history of the place. And that was lovely to actually show her something that she had a link with, a connection with, because I believe it was demolished soon afterwards.
Yes,
we do have a display of the 19th century floods. I'm not quite sure, in the 1890s. We have photographs of those floods in Sheerness, and the 1953 floods, and the more recent floods in the 70s. And the Crusader tree, which stands outside the gatehouse, was blown down in the Great Hurricane and has been replaced. And that was originally brought as an acorn from the Crusades, we believe. Like lots of stories we could tell you, and people tell us. There are loads of legends that are based on some sort of truth, the history of the island, and it's amazing what people come in and tell us that they know about the island. We're forever learning about it.
So it's a real archive then for the whole island.
Absolutely. It needs a lot of cleaning and keeping tidy. But we could do with another room or 2 more rooms. But the items in here, I've been coming since the early 80s when it was first opened, and I haven't seen everything. We've things that aren't on display because we haven't got room. We do try and rotate the displays, but that again is quite difficult because we depend on volunteers, and it's very cold in here.
Yes,
because there's no central heating. But it's so interesting if you start looking for something, you get delayed because you find something else that you didn't know was there. And we accept anything that is people are willing to give us. And this is the time of year when people do their turning out and quite often find things that they know are going to be interesting for other people to look at.
I found it really interesting to find out that Charles Dickens has been on a regular visitor to Sheerness. It was something I didn't realise until I came here. And it was, again, something that was quite personal to me and Mum, because we've recently done some mural work up in the restaurant of Dickens World. So I was really surprised and quite excited by it, actually.
Yeah.
No, it certainly sounds an interesting place. And you're talking about you're hoping to build this timeline, so I'm assuming it will grow by people coming who might mention something in specific, and that will get added to that.
Yeah, there is a possibility. Yes, obviously that's like part of the research part,
yes.
Really, in that sense. And then when we can identify them, we obviously have our set things that we've identified with Mary and the rest of the crew, hasn't
yes.
it? So, and then obviously hopefully one of the children's pieces will go into the mural as well. It's sort of growing. Would you like to come up onto the roof, Daniel, to see the view?
Well, I would do, because you've been talking about it, so I'd like to come up there and have a look.
Shall we take?
Yes, be careful of the steps. If you hold on, you'll be safe.
So we are continuing to hear the interview I did when I was out and about, and I was at the Minster Gatehouse Museum, where I'm talking to Julie and Anna all about their latest residency there. So we're now standing in the stairwell, and I was just having a look round. And how will your mural actually go on to this?
Well, it's actually going to go partly on the walls as you go up, but we're sort of hopefully going to do sort of a little bit of almost like a revealing. I went to a church at Newington a little while ago, and they'd found an old piece of artwork that was, about 20 years ago, I think. Don't quote me on that, but they found this piece of artwork and they revealed it. Anna and I were so inspired by that. We felt that it would be great to have the mural with that element to it, so that it'd be like almost as if there are hidden pieces just peeking through from the medieval times and, from various different things. And I mean, it's such a beautiful stairwell. Tiny.
Yeah.
We're gonna
tiny, challenging space.
But there's going to be wall hangings, as I say, and we're also constructing some boxes to hold some of the artefacts that will link up to the timeline as well, so people can see these alongside the mural work. But yes, it's as you.
I was going to say, it's quite a tall spiral, so it's going to take a fair old time once you start.
Yeah, once we identify, we'll be all systems go, as they say. Our paintbrushes will have to.
So you're going to have to preserve it in some way by covering it with a sort of a covering.
It will have some sort of, and that's where some of the research is going on at the moment. We're testing out various different art materials to see which reacts best, because obviously it is very old, it's damp, and it will have to be sealed so that it protects it a little bit. But I did a piece of artwork on the sea wall on one of the Queenborough Harbour that's been there for quite a few years, and that's stayed, has actually stood up fairly well to the sea and the wind and everything, and salt. So probably along those lines we'll be protecting the same sort of thing in here. Mm-hmm.
So we've now made our way to the top of the gatehouse. I must say it's an impressive view because you can more or less see all the way around the island, so I'm quite amazed.
It is, it's wonderful, isn't it? The first time I came up here I was like, oh my goodness, look, it's just so beautiful and you see so much. I mean, all across the sea, we can see Southend across there. I'm waving but nobody's waving back. And the Montgomery turret, the part of the boat you can see sticking out of the water. It's an amazing experience, isn't it?
Yes, and it's particularly good today. What wonderful visibility. When the gatehouse was built, this was virtually at the centre of the island, and now with the cliffs falling, we're nearer the sea, but the other end is silted up, and so of course we're further away from the swale. And the stones with which and the church were built, they were brought up almost the foot of Minster Hill, because that would have been much wetter in those days. It's nice for the visitors too, the local visitors, to come and perhaps look down over where they live and see just how Minster is growing today. And for visitors from the mainland, of course, they like to get their bearings, see our relationship to Essex, look across to Grain, and you can see how compact Sheerness is, and just about there are glimpses of the water, the moat that surrounds the town. So it's a good place to describe the function of the area and our important situation at the mouth of the Thames.
Well, it's one of those things that often when you look at maps, you sort of have an idea of how things are because you walk about and drive about, and then you see it on a map and it looks different, especially now with Google Earth and things like that. And this is that sort of effect. You're seeing the island almost looking down on it.
Yes, that's very, very, very true. It's popular as well for people to look out and see the bridge. The way many of them will have arrived, of course, on the train or whatever, and then back through to the mainland. Soon, I don't think we're going to have the power stations. I think they're going to be dismantled. But at the moment, of course, very evident, and close to one we can see right up almost to Rochester today. We have Kingsnorth, and near that is our sort of sister place at Hoo, because the saint associated with Hoo, Werburger, we've got the family connections with Sexburger here. Yeah. But oddly, we can never see Hoo Church, and yet when you're over there, you can see the gatehouse.
Oh, really?
Oh,
well, that's interesting. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's very pretty today, isn't it?
Yes, with the spring foliage.
You can see all the yellow
yes.
in the fields at the moment. And
listen to all the birds, because of spring. It's so lovely, isn't
family
it?
of jackdaws are usually over there on the top of the abbey, and you can see you're on the same level as them, so they're like, hey, who are you, sort of thing, looking at us. But it is, I mean, I was absolutely amazed the first time I come up here.
It's always enchants the visitors.
Definitely, it's well worth the trip, isn't
with
it?
Yes,
to come up here alone. But the whole museum itself is an amazing, magical, hidden gem, really, isn't it? That's the thing.
Amazing. As I said, I've grown up on the island, but I've never been up here, so it's the first time for me.
First time for you, Daniel. That's good.
Well, we need people like that because we need to attract new visitors.
Yes.
So it's good that some people haven't yet seen it.
Yeah.
It's also like a really lovely finish to the journey through the building itself, and quite a nice place to perhaps reflect on what you may have read and seen. It's wonderful, really wonderful.
Well, just real quickly, we've done this probably a bit the wrong way around. I've come up with Hannah and Julie, but we've also been joined by another volunteer you've just been hearing from. So I was hoping you could tell us who you are and your role.
I'm Jonathan Fryer. At the moment, I'm the president of the History Society. I've been a member since I was 14, so that means, in fact, that's 50 plus years. It's a little bit frightening, so I'm almost historic myself, I suppose. But we had a very good team when we first took on the building, a lot of enthusiastic members, and there was a lot of work involved in just clearing out all the debris over the decades that have been in here. So it is nice to come and see it full of wonderful artefacts that people have given, and to see that people can enjoy a building which could easily have turned into a ruin. So my function really is just helping out on afternoons like this, but equally I represent the society often at historic and archaeological functions and that sort of thing. And so I'm very proud to champion the museum, but also be an advocate and try to encourage people to come to the island here. So it's nice to be able to do that.
Right, so I was just wondering, before we finish, if you could just refresh our listeners a little bit about the residency and when the gatehouse is open, so they can pop in to see it and also come and talk to you in further about what you're doing.
Yeah, well, if Anna, do you want to say something, Anna? No. It's obviously we're doing a timeline mural in the 12th century spiral staircase that goes up onto the top of the roof, and that is open to the public as well, so that's great. And we're sort of it's an installation stroke mural really, because we're doing boxes and we're going to be using artefacts from the museum that link up to that timeline, and some wall hangings as well that we're now researching the material at the moment and seeing what works best in such a damp environment. So if there's anyone out there with expertise, they can let Anna and I know, that would be great. And we're going to be open May Bank Holiday, the Spring Bank Holiday, August Bank Holiday, and then it's every Saturday from the 1st of May to the 25th of September, and every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday in July and August, and that's from 2 to 4:30. And if anybody would like to phone up, they do a group visits, a private group visit. So if they would like to ring Lena Crowder, I believe, I hope I've said that right, she'll probably hit me if I haven't, 01795 875 111. And the website is www.minstergatehousemuseum.com/info. But if they want to phone up at any time for any of the information to do with any of this, there'll be always somebody who'd be happy to give them information. But really what we want is lots of people to visit, because everyone's missing out. This is a marvellous place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
And, if anybody's got some memories that they would like to share with myself or Julie, that would be really good as well, because it can all add to the inspiration of the timeline mural.
And even if it doesn't get actually used in the mural itself, that information will become part of the museum. So again, that's giving information to future generations, and that's really what we're trying to do here, as well as create a beautiful piece of artwork for the museum.
Well, Julie and Hannah, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting me along and giving me the chance to talk to you, and also giving me a chance to look around here, which is something I haven't done.
You're welcome. It's been lovely to see you.
Yeah, lovely to catch up with you again, Daniel. Yeah, it's been brilliant. Thank you.